Alrighty, we have a GFI that's defective. One screw is stripped on the load side, and that's why the lights are flickering in the barn. We ran our barn wire from here, so we're going to unplug our light here. We'll just make sure we have power at our outlet here. You can see it's blinking. I'll go cut the breaker off. And we'll stick our tester in here again. Make sure it's off, which it is, and we'll hit our test button, and it does not reset. So we'll take our cover off of it here. We'll unscrew it from here too. Here in the country I was born in, we use a 12 American wire gauge on 20 amps, 14 American wire gauge on 15 amps. And this is number 10 American wire gauge because it's going quite a long distance to the breaker box. So we don't have as much voltage drop, but we drop down to number 12 to go to our UF wire to go outside. So we'll take our plate off of here. Pull it out a little bit more here. Okay, we have our ground wire, which goes under this green screw here, under the pressure plate. We'll pull that out. Now we have our black wires, our two black wires are on the brass colored screws here, so we'll just open our screw terminal up. Now here's the terminal that's stripped. When I tightened it, it doesn't turn. So we're gonna take it off. Our threads are all messed up in there. So we're gonna take the screw out, and we'll just take our other black wire out. We'll flip it over here. We'll get our white wires off the solar colored screw here. If you look at the side of your receptacle, you'll see your white wire goes on the silver screw, which is the wide slot, and the T slot if it's a 20 amp. The black wire goes on the brass screw over here, and that is the narrow slot. So you look at the back here, it says line where the power goes in, your load where the power goes out, and your ground wires just get pigtailed together. Now I'll show you something about these wires here. See how the strip gauge is different for this one and the one we took out. See how the screw terminals are spaced different from the back there, so we're going to have to cut them. So we'll hold our device up here and we'll see about how much we got cut off. So we'll cut off about like that. Okay, that's a good length. we'll just check all 4 of our wires, make sure we have a good strip length there. That one's good. I'll take a tiny, tiny smidgen off of this one. Just a tiny, tiny bit. Okay, so we'll screw this thing back on here. Just push it down so it's nice and tight against our box here. Make sure it's tight. So we have our white line up here and our black line up here. We have our ground, which is going to be staying down here on the bottom. And we have our white load down here and our black load. So we're going to take our new GFI and we will line our wires up. Okay, it says load here. Line is on the bottom, so we're going to put our line wires on the bottom and our load wires on the top. So we'll put our ground wire under this pressure plate, make sure it's in all the way. Make sure it's tight. Okay, so line is on the top, so we'll put our black line in. Make sure our wire is under the pressure plate and our insulation doesn't get caught under the pressure plate. Make sure it's nice and tight. Oops, it popped up a little bit, so I'm going to loosen it up again here. I'm going to push it down so our insulation just goes right up close to the bottom there. There we go. That's how we want the wires under our terminals. Now we'll get our black load under our terminal like this. Make sure our insulation is not caught under the pressure plate. Okay. Our insulation is just up to the pressure plate. We'll just tighten our screw up. So that's what we want. Now we'll bring it down this way. And we'll get our white wires hooked up. Our white line will go under this terminal here. Make sure we get our insulation up close to the bottom of the pressure plate there, but not under it. Make sure our wire is under the sleeve, the area there that's meant for the wire to go into. Make sure it's nice and tight and our insulation is not caught. So we'll bring our load wire up. We'll get it under our pressure plate there. Make sure our insulation is not caught under there. Our insulation is not caught under there. And that's what we want. We have our copper under the little groove here. Comes up to the end and our insulation is not caught under the pressure plate. Same with the one down here. So we'll just flip it around. We'll just double check. Make sure our black wires look the same underneath there. Now we can fold our wires back into our box. Now we want to keep this ground wire down away from everything. So we'll fold our blacks and our whites so that they go into the box without stressing against anything. Make sure it's nice and snug. Get our other screw in here. One, two. And what I like about this tester here is it has a flashlight on it, so I can look, make sure our screws aren't hitting the wires. My ground wire is down away from everything here. It's not going to touch anything. We'll just put our cover back on and we'll go flip our breaker on and we'll make sure it works. We'll go turn our breaker on. Okay, we see our red light here. It means it's tripped. Now we'll reset it. See that red light goes off. We'll take our no contact tester just to verify there's power in the outlet here. There's power, see it turns red. And we'll test it. And it goes off, no power in the red. So we'll reset it. And we have a working GFI. Here in the country I was born in, we use a 14 American wire gauge on 15 amps, 12 American wire gauge on 20 amps, 10 American wire gauge on 30 amps. We use this number 10 here on 20 amps because it's a long run from the breaker box. We don't have much voltage drop going to the garage. Black is live, white is neutral, the bare or the green is the ground. Red and blue are also live colors. However, you may find white live in a switch loop or 240 volt circuit where the appliance does not require a neutral. Peace. Thanks for watching.